Well, let's stay with that story now. Lisa Bloom is a civil rights attorney who represented 4 women who accused President Trump of sexual misconduct. She joins us now live from Los Angeles. Lisa, good to have you with us. So, your take on the testimony that we've heard from Michael Cohen?
Well, it was hugely significant. First of all, although we know that he is an admitted liar, he came with documentation. He came with copies of checks, one from Donald Trump himself after he was already president, reimbursing Michael Cohen for a hush money payment that was not revealed on campaign documents. That is a campaign law violation. And Michael Cohen also talked about some investigations that are going on that we did not even know about, some criminal investigations of the president that are happening in New York. He talked about financial and banking fraud. All of that, I'm sure, is going to lead to further investigations.
And Lisa, what do you think will happen at the next steps from this?
Well, now that our House of Representatives is controlled by the Democrats, we can be sure that there will be further investigations that many of the Congresspeople have already begun. And this has given them more evidence to follow up on. A lot of the questions today that didn't get a lot of news coverage were foundational questions, questions about what he knew, who knew things, who was present in various conversations, where the evidence is. There's a storage shed, he said, that has a lot of evidence in it. So I think there will be a lot of follow-ups from the House of Representatives and also from the criminal authorities in New York who are looking into this now.
Lisa, can I just ask you to sit up slightly? You're just disappearing off the bottom of the screen for us. There we go. Thank you very much. Sorry to do that. I just wonder also, when we have things like the checks that were produced as evidence with that sort of impact that they had, does that do anything to bolster the credibility of the evidence he's giving?
It absolutely does. And listen, in criminal courts every day, people like Michael Cohen are used by the prosecution to prove their case. You know, we don't get perfect witnesses. We get people who have a criminal record, even a record of lying. And those witnesses are used because, look, Michael Cohen was the number 2 guy. He has been convicted. He's going to prison for 3 years. You mean to tell me the number 2 guy is going to go to prison, but the number 1 guy, Donald Trump, is not? So the way we bolster somebody like Michael Cohen is we look to the evidence. We look to the documentation, checks, financial documents, banking records, all of which should substantiate what he's saying. And then we also look to other witnesses. He named Don Jr., he named Ivanka, he named the CFO of the Trump organization. He named Roger Stone. He named a lot of people who were involved. So we're going to have to hear from them and see how their testimony is going to measure up.
Of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens in terms of further hearings and who gets called and who gives evidence. But I just wonder whether, in terms of public opinion, this will make any difference at all, or whether people who have their doubts and reservations about President Trump will be further ingrained in those doubts, and his supporters will just feel even more that there is a political witch hunt against him.
There's no doubt that there is a core minority of Americans who support Donald Trump now, and they will support him to the end, in the way that historically people supported our President Richard Nixon when he went down in shame and resignation many years ago. And then there are people on the left, people like me, who have been disgusted with Donald Trump from the very beginning. But there are people in the middle who voted for Donald Trump because they gave him the benefit of the doubt. They thought he was a conservative, that maybe he just was bombastic and he had a certain way of talking, but he would surround himself with good people and ultimately do good things. Those people have now seen Donald Trump for what he is. And I think Michael Cohen's testimony was very important for those people. Every bit of evidence and testimony that comes out against Donald Trump that tends to show that he's a liar. He especially seems to lie about financial records, banking, hush money payments to women. I think it does make a difference on that middle group.
Well, I mean, of course, the president dismisses those sorts of claims, those accusations. But I just wonder, as you watched the questioning during that session in Congress, it was quite wide-ranging. Was there anything that, if you'd been sitting there, you would have asked?
I would have asked him how many women he has been accused of sexually harassing or sexually assaulting. We know about 19 who have come out publicly. We know about 2 who he's paid off, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. How many others, Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, did you pay to silence? What kinds of thug tactics were used to silence them, as Stormy Daniels contends? Is she correct when she says that somebody threatened her and her child if she spoke out? I would have liked to know more about that. I think women are important. I think 50% of the population is important, and I would have liked to have heard those answers.
OK, Lisa, thanks for sharing your take on it all with us. Lisa Bloom there joining us from Los Angeles. Thank you.